natural divine heirs. Today is September the 8th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2022 on the Greco-Roman calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan consular court action. We are the sovereign, living justices in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes. I am sovereign, living justice Pauline Denise Ritchie, and my free chosen sovereign appellation is Light to Jure Bay. Both are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient Al-Moroccan, Moorish American descendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves. For we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign, ancient empire state for Morocco, the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government, ancient Washington District for Columbia, the Universal Moorish American Consulate, and the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today, we are executing the law by our sovereign capacity, which is the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3 living United States District 4 Columbia Liquidation Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, receivers, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, claimants, and beneficiaries in this concluding cause for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension, issue a state and federal creditors' bill for possession against all judgment debtors, and exercise all sovereign rights at this time and all points in time. No pro-tunk. So the first thing that we want to do is I want us to come together in the spirit realm and also in this dimension even more so than we already are, because we are unified. Let me just put that spell out here. And it's evident that we're unified. We're going to continue unifying. I would like for us to take just a moment to focus our energy on the matriarch and make a proclamation and decree, because our matriarchs, first of all, the matriarchs birthed the nation, okay? And because the matriarchs birthed the nation, it is important that we send them some energy, because there are a lot of matriarchs, a lot of them, that are about to wake up. Their awakening is going to really affect the whole atmosphere. They have decided to stay asleep until now, and they're going to be waking up shortly. Many of them, and this is where this is coming from, many of them are in the church. And we love the Christians. We're not mad at the Christians. We love the Christians. We created Christianity and gave it to the subjects for them to use. The matriarchs that will be coming to themselves some of them will be going through some of the same tests that we have all been through. And their way is going to be easier because of the work that we have all been doing. For that, we are grateful. But we want to just put a proclamation on the public record, a call to them, to tell them that it's okay for them to wake up. We're here for them. We love them. And we're going to continue to be here for them. And we've put some things in place so that they don't have to, they don't have to, there's some things they're not going to have to do or go through because it's already done. So I just want to put on the public record the following spell, and it is to break any spells over the matriarchs. And we're not negating the emperors. We know that the matriarchs birthed the kings and the emperors. And that's why we're specifically directing this to them, because just like our grandchief said, when the matriarch gets it, it's gotten, it's done, it's a wrap, it's a done deal. And so I want to put this spell and call out to them in the spirit realm, in the commercial realm, in the earth realm, this call out to them to let them know that we're here. So this particular spell is hereby placed on the public record, calling out to the matriarchs. We call all matriarchs to rise from your sleep. It's okay to wake up. Rise from your slumber and rise from the fog of colonial mercenary psychological operations. We are here for you. We have been waiting for you. We love you. We honor your choice to rise at your will, and we state that as you rise now, you will join us and add your sovereign power to that of our great, mighty, growing, wealthy nation. We call all empresses, all of the heirs, and all of the ascendants to rise even before you enter the womb. Islam, Islam, and Islam. And so thank you for those in the chat who are in agreement with us on that. And those in the spirit realm, we can just feel that you're in agreement as well. In fact, let us put our agreement on the would like to just give an Islam on the record, feel free to do so with regard to that proclamation. Islam.
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 Indeed.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. And thank you to Islam. Thank you to those in the chat as well. It is important that we speak into the spirit realm, because when we do that, we're also speaking into our nation at the same time. Islam. Thank you, nobility. It's important that we do that because we have been doing what is called pulling down strongholds that were hanging over our nation like bats in a cave. And those strongholds have been done away with. They've been pulled down. So, yes, long live the matriarchs, indeed, Justice Constance. Thank you for that. We receive the energy. We receive it. All matriarchs on this call receive the energy because it is directed directly towards each and every one of us and those who hear this and those who are related to those who hear this and to those who don't hear this. We still send the energy to you. Islam, indeed. With that being said, what we also want to do, I would like to point out a little bit of wordplay. because these words have been, and I'm just going to put it in mute, unmute yourselves at will, Islam. I want to put this word play, which we know that the word and the sword are the same thing. The sword, the pen is mightier than the sword. And this is why. Because words are mightier than weapons. Because words are weapons. So this word, deceased and deceived and diseased, as an example, the living natural person, Pauline Ritchie, is a deceased living natural person minor who is created by the sovereign state. And when we say deceased, that means that she is free from colonial mercenary hands and is created by the sovereign state. She is not seized. She is actually held in trust. And then Pauline Ritchie in all capital letters and brackets, as stated by the dead United States Corporation Company, is deceased. It is a deceased corpse. Okay? When it was pretending to run around and do things, it was diseased. And then it was also deceased because it was created by the dead. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because as we're reading our documents, when you pronounce words, know that there's going to be generally more than one spelling to that word. And this is to wake up the part of our brain and our consciousness that needs to look at what's been said and be able to make it incorruptible and uncorruptible. Knowing that it was the war of the words that we have stopped. Okay. We needed to stop the war of the words. Okay. So let me just one moment. Okay. Just one moment. Okay. There you go. Okay. So just know that when we were hearing the foreign commercial mercenaries speak, we thought that they were saying one thing, and this was in our sleep. We thought they were saying one thing when really they were saying something else. This is why. And the spelling and the spells that were cast. When you look in ancient records, and they're talking about deceased, they spell it this way. But that's our ancestors saying something is deceased. That means not seized. Okay? And then deceased and diseased, we know what those mean. With that being said, we hereby state that we are not a piece of paper. We stand living and breathing as one. No paper is talking about us unless we write it. No paper is talking about us unless we write it. And I'll say it one more time because it's a spell. No paper from anyone or anything is talking about us unless we write it. We are the authors of our lives and for our lives, which automatically makes us the authorities on the land. There are no authorities over us. There are no authorities but us. not pro-Trump, Islam. And then one last thing I want to bring to your attention before we get into our subject matter. I looked up the letter X, and if you will look at this number 5, X means Christ. And we know that we are the Christ. And that is where our ancestors used to sign documents with the letter X, because they knew that they are the Christ. Okay? So, X is also the Roman numeral 10, which is actually the number 1. And then it says to represent the signature of a person who cannot write. Anytime you see the word represent, that means that something foreign is trying to say something or do something or define something, because no one represents the Moors. So, of course, a foreigner would say that a signature of a person, see the words that they're using the word signature instead of autograph, and person instead of people. The signature of a person who cannot write. Okay, and then in mathematics, a lowercase x has just so that you're aware, a lowercase x has a different definition than an uppercase x. Look at the definitions. They have to differentiate or say if it can apply to both of them. The sound of capital X or lowercase x. See here at the top. A type or impression for a capital X or a lowercase x. So they have to define them, because they mean some. Capital letters mean something different than lowercase letters. And every good dictionary will make that distinction. Okay. Here, the letter X in mathematics is a sign of multiplication. And whenever we touch something, it multiplies. Whenever we think of something, it multiplies. That's why it's so important to clear our energy and then think on things like abundance and the manifestation, the full manifestation of our estate. Because whatever it is that you think on in that manner, it will multiply, period, because that's what we do. We add to by multiplication. We are that powerful. With that being said, we have stated on the record that all debt is to be removed from the land. We've been doing our part to remove the debt from the land, and debt being Federal Reserve debt notes. That's those green things that say, United States Federal Reserve note, and it's printed by those that are not us. Okay, we have said those green pieces of paper, private commercial paper and private corporate paper, need to be removed from our land. So this week, well, actually about 2 weeks ago, we did a fiat burning ceremony, which is customs and usage for us. And for those who are, who maybe were a little bit apprehensive about customs and usage or about us burning fiat, look up customs and usage and ancient customs and usage, because it was customs and usage for us always to get rid of negativity. And a debt is a negative to the credit. Okay? It is the mirror image of the credit on the other side. That's what debt is. We are life, and debt is death. So we're not mad at the debt, but we do need to get it off the land. So I found out recently that we are not, that the subjects have been doing their part to get the debt off of our land. Okay. So yes, Empress, X is also the biological symbol for a woman. Oh yes, it is in chromosomes. In chromosomal language, when you're speaking about chromosomes, we are the X, and that is the Christ. So we came across some things in our study this week that indicate to us clearly that the subjects are removing all debt off of our land. And these are some things that I did not know was going on, but you know, the ancestors don't keep anything from us. The minute we mention something or we do a demonstration, they show us the rest of whatever it is that we need to know about it. They multiply what we do. And again, we are our ancestors' return, so we know that the multiplication is happening among us, Islam. Yes, there is an echo. Just one moment. I'm going to go ahead and mute the echo. Yes, that's where it was, Islam. So I was doing some study, and I came across some information that I think you all will find just amazing for those who did not know this. Were any of you aware that the United States Corporation Company, and we prophesied that this would happen, that the United States Corporation Company has been suing its currency? Were any aware that the United States Corporation Company was taking the currency to court and suing it? Suing it. There is so much case law out there that I just thought, wow, this is really interesting. Because how do you sue paper? But they've been doing it. So let me show you how and where and why. I'll go ahead and put this case law. This is the case law case text. I'm going to put this in the chat so that you all can look at the case law that we're talking about here. I had never heard of it either in Empresses in the chat. And we did say that they were going to have to stop focusing on us when we get the currency piece correct, that they're going to have to then turn in on themselves because they don't have jurisdiction where our money is concerned. So here is the video that gave me this information. And then I'll show you the clip from the video. It's not patented because it was actually supposed to be public money. And so they were trying to pass it off as public money, but the bond numbers, because they bonded the numbers, that meant that it was, quote unquote, patented. And that is why we're going to talk about why they can do it, that when people are passing that, they can do whatever they want with those people that are passing that. So This is the clip from the video that I saw where I thought this could not possibly be what I think it is. This is the name of the video, Cash Grab Investigation. Government seizes billions in cash from air travelers. So what's been happening is that, and it's a little blurry, but you have the link to the video in the chat. What's been happening is that we said, okay, get the debt off the land, and they knew that we were going to wake up and say that. So those going through the commercial airports, because there are some airports that are not commercial. We'll talk about that at another time. But the commercial airports, people who've been going through those commercial airports with any significant amount of fiat, and when I say significant, I saw case law of them taking, less than 5,000 Federal Reserve debt notes, up to millions of dollars in Federal Reserve debt notes, millions of debt dollars, from people in the airports, going through the airport. But when they, so this is the statistic that I heard. The statistic that I heard was that from between 2010 and 2018, these mercenaries pretending to be alphabet boys have confiscated almost 2 billion, with a B, billion, in Federal Reserve debt notes without any of the cases going into a courtroom. None of the cases went into a courtroom. It was just a swipe. It was just a swipe. And in some of the videos that I saw related to that, because there are two, there's a part 1 and part 2 to the video that I put in the link. There was a brother who was a sleeping Moor who had 100 and something taken from him in Federal Reserve debt notes, and there was no court case, no charges pressed, no nothing. They just took it and handed one little piece of paper, and the little piece of paper had a few lines on it, and there was no signature, no nothing on the paper, not even an amount. And he just said, I've been robbed. I was just robbed. Going through the airport. And here's what happened too, and this is why we have to lean like we have to lean. Those that were the bandits previously doing business is TSA, and we're not saying that this is all TSA. We're not saying all custodians in the office of TSA, because we're the real TSA. We're not saying this is all of them. This is what was shown in the videos and by the statistics, quote unquote, that all of those whose fiat was taken, they were told on the spot that if they sign an abandonment form, and walk away, that they don't have to go to court. An abandonment form of all things. I'm like, wow, really? So once they signed this abandonment form, then the fake courts will come back, and they can type that up in the back somewhere. They will come back and say, okay, you just forfeited all of this. And then if anyone tried to challenge it in writing, they would say, no, you forfeited. Now, what we want to point out, we just want to point out a couple of things about that. First of all, those who are using Federal Reserve debt notes, and more, this is why we're saying we've got to, as a nation, now we're away from it as a nation because our nation has a national currency and we also have fiduciary money, even though some Moors are still using fiat. But what we're saying is we needed to put it on the public record that that is not our national currency. We have a national currency. That is not even our fiduciary currency. We have a fiduciary currency. And neither our fiduciary money nor our dollarium, our gold-backed Moorish sovereign dollarium, is our debt instruments. Neither one is a debt instrument because we created them. We can't create debt. So it's important that we continue moving in that direction, because listen to this, Moors, right here. Just one moment. Okay, so this is the code that they were using to take the fiat. 26 USC 7302 is property used in violation of internal revenue laws. Now, they have internal revenue in all lowercase letters, so they're talking about the Moors. They're not even talking about some fake corporation pretending to be an internal or inquisition revenue service. It says, it shall be unlawful to have or possess any property intended for use in violating the provisions of the internal revenue laws or regulations prescribed under such laws, or which has been so used, and no property rights shall exist in any such property. That one statement right there means that no all caps dead corpse can own anything, and as long as those going through the airports were claiming to be U.S. citizens, they could take whatever they could have took their clothes off of them with no recourse for the living beings. And then here it says, a search warrant may issue as provided in Chapter 205 of Title 18 of the U.S.C. Code and the Federal Rules for Criminal Procedure for the seizure of such property. A search warrant may issue. They're not even saying it has to come from any specific place. Now, with these being USC codes, it should be coming from the United States, the living United States, not the dead one. But so anytime, and this is how they were even stopping the people. The former custodians previously doing business as TSA, or previously in the office of TSA, would scan someone's luggage. And here's the thing, TSA should not be even checking for anything like that. TSA, that is not even in their job description. That's not part of what they're supposed to do. They would check, and if they saw anything in there like that, they would pick up the phone and call some random corporation agent to come and start stealing. But it's not really stealing if you're claiming to be a U.S. citizen, because that's U.S. military, the dead corporation military script. That's not the living United States or States United. And so some of the case law that I saw, they even took, poor beings who came through with $1,500 or $1,200, and that was all they had to get them from one side to the other, from the East Coast to the West Coast, quote unquote, because they were moving and they needed to get there so that they can get settled in. All of that was being taken in some of the cases. And they didn't even have to provide any type of it was just paperwork going back and forth in terms of the cases. The people never showed up. And that's what happens when we're not ourselves on our land. So we have to be ourselves, or else there's no challenge to anything. Also, in looking at these cases, I also went to look for the remedy for those who want to know what the remedy is for that. Checks and balances to forfeiture actions. Public Law 134, 69 statute, Chapter 280, it's page 281 in the Public Laws, dated July 7, 1955, talks about the bonds. And it says that each, let me just explain that the bonds, each civilian employee has civilian, quote unquote, officers and employees are supposed to be bonded by law. And it says it right here. The commissioners of the District of Columbia are authorized to obtain blanket position schedule or other type of surety bond covering their civilian officers and employees required by law or administrative ruling to be bonded. Each bond shall be of the most suitable type available for the number and type of personnel required to be bonded, and shall be conditioned upon the faithful performance of the duties of the person so bonded. And the term faithful performance of the duty shall be deemed to include the proper accounting for all monies or property received by virtue of the bonded person's positions or employment, and all responsibilities and accountabilities imposed by statute or regulation issued pursuant thereto. In other words, they're supposed to be faithful with the accounting and not just take people's things and so on and so forth. Okay. Now they literally can take yes, Islamic nobility. They can take listen, most of the takings is according to the takings clause in the Constitution. The Constitution has a takings clause. It's Article 5. We've talked about the takings clause previously. But more importantly, or equally important, because all is the supreme law of the land, if you are claiming that U.S. citizen status, they can take whatever they want to take because they're bandits and it's a corporation. And claiming to be a U.S. citizen is that's actually where the fraud is. Anytime we are claiming to be a dead United States corporation company citizen and not a living States United citizen, national, because we're not citizens, we're nationals, we're sovereign. Anytime you claim an inferior status, that's fraud on the part of the Moors. And none of the things that have happened with us could have happened without that first being the fraud. That's just the word. So think about all of the things that we've all been through, the testing and things like the testing and things that we've been through. None of that could have happened if we hadn't claimed that status. And even now, we know better, so we must do better so that things like that won't happen. Because, you will see when you watch the video that brought this information to light for me, that the stuff that they were using was just sitting people down who were on their way somewhere, sit them down in a back room and cast spells across a table. And it's people that weren't even in uniform. They barely had badges. They didn't know the law, but the one thing they knew And this is the underlying thing that they never said in any of the interviews, where they just kept taking people's money and taking people's fiat and taking people's fiat, is that they're taking it based on their status. So they can make up whatever they want to make up. It could have been what they thought was honestly earned, quote unquote, and they still took it because the status is not right. Period. So the things that we are putting on the public record it's not for nothing. It's for protection, because those takings, some of those fake corporate agencies, that's the only way they've been making it all these years, is by keeping that scheme going. Now, the bad part about it is that there are some people who really suffered with that, and we don't like any suffering on our land. On the other hand, the debt must not keep flowing on the land, and it will not. That's why we're saying, even if you think that even if you think that maybe you're not ready for fiduciary money or more sovereign delarium, be moving in that direction in your study. Because after a while, listen, they can track that stuff. The call is open, Islam. The call is open. So, we have to. I don't want to see any Moors in that situation. And there was a Moor in the video that was in that situation. They just cast a couple of spells across the table, and because he thought he was quote unquote an ex-felon, they left the people with nothing. So these are the things that we're getting out ahead of, Moors. And can you all hear me? Okay.
Very well.
Yeah.
Okay. Islam.
Very well.
Empress, it appears that everyone can hear okay. So, but these are the things that we're getting out ahead of, because it's only a matter of time, Moors, before, just one moment. There's a little bit of noise coming from one or two of the lines. One moment. Islam. Okay. These are the things that we're getting out ahead of when we are putting forth more sovereign delarium and things like that. Because what if they started doing that, and we know they've been doing it on the side of the road, taking people's things and property and, fiat on the side of the road. We told them to get that stuff off the land, Moors, because that's been the root of the problem, really, if you ask me. Because they didn't really care what anyone was saying as long as they knew you had fiat in your pocket. They didn't care about, oh, I'm a Moorish American, la, 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 la. Whose military script are you using? And now they've gotten to out and out, not even offering an explanation. They just pull people to the side and say, empty your wallet, empty your bag. We'll take that. Now, bye. And so we're not saying that that's right, because it's not right if the people don't know. You know, it's not right if the people don't know, but by the same token, ignorance of the law is no excuse. None of us were given a break. You know, we had to go ahead and test. You know, so these are the things that the bridges that we're building over troubled waters, so that as our matriarchs and emperors and heirs come forth, they have a way to do what they need to do. So now, having said that, I want to bring a couple of other things to your attention with regard to let me see, which thing do I want to do first? I think what I'll do first is, speaking of building bridges and being able to take care of our heirs, having resources come, all of this that we're doing is to build those bridges so that as that other thing continues to die out, because it's dying out, it's very quickly. It's really already just completely dead. It's just they're giving the illusion that there's still a little bit left there, and there really isn't. So in the interest of creating and developing resources for our heirs and for our families and kin, and providing a way for those who need to do whatever they need to do in terms of commerce and merchant actions, I want to quickly go over, and we did a video on this today. In fact, let me go ahead and pull that video, the link to that video, and put it in the chat, because it's going to be important that we let's see. Yeah, I want to go ahead and put this in the chat. So this process that we're placing on the public record, we want to put it on the public record because we know that right now all we're doing is saying, yes, we know how to govern. Okay. So now the title of it's a 16-minute video that we did earlier today. And this video that we did earlier today, if we were asleep, they would probably call this how to start an LLC and register your LLC and start your company and begin hiring people and begin doing commerce. That's what it would be called if we were asleep. We had to make that process incorruptible and uncorruptible. So, how to proclaim, claim, and revenue a company lawfully. The companies that we are revenuing already exist. They already have EIN, they already have numbers and all of that. We're just revenuing everything, which is really called reversion of the state. So on May 21st, 2020, and on October 17th, 2020, and among other dates, we proclaimed on the public record that sovereign ancient commerce by, with, and for the Moorish State and the Moorish Nation has resumed on our land. And this process is another strategic implementation and affirmation of our previous proclamations. And these are here, we'll go ahead and put these in the chat as well. Just the video from today is 16 minutes and like 16 seconds or something like that. And it's just this process from start to finish. So once you've declared and proclaimed your ancient Moorish American Al-Moroccan nationality on the public record, one in red and one in blue, by Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court action, and then you terminated all corporate contracts, you placed the Universal Commercial Code 1 lien on the nom de guerre war name and social security number, you placed the Universal Commercial Code 1 lien on the United States Corporation Company, you created and proclaimed a sovereign express trust on the public record, and then you created your sovereign fiduciary trustee affidavit. Those are the mighty six that we use that start all demonstrations. So it's important, Morris, that these 6 actions are done immediately. Declare your nationality, terminate corporate contracts, do a lien on the offending party, create the express trust document, and then create your sovereign state fiduciary trustee affidavit. Those are going to be very important moving forward as well, and they're all done by Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court action. And all that is the language that we state at the beginning of all of our calls. You put that language at the top of your affidavit, and that makes it an Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court action. So the first thing you'll do in revenuing a company, and it's really the resources that we're revenuing. Okay, we're not pulling something dead up and trying to make that dead thing dance. We're revenuing our resources that the frauds were previously claiming. Choose a company on which you've placed in Article 3 Universal Commercial Code 1 lien. So lien the fraud first. As the fiduciary who's taken control of the resources previously fraudulently claimed by the corporation that you liened, it is the fiduciary's responsibility to remove the former custodian from the CEO or president's office on the public record. And let me pull up one of those documents so that you all can see the fiduciary letters. Let's see, we will pull up the one for, let's do American Airlines, the fiduciary document for them. We've gone over these previously. I'm just going to briefly point this out. This is what a removal from office and fiduciary appointment document looks like. We can use any of the logos and any of that stuff, because all of these companies were broke when they even made the logos. They were broke, they were bankrupt, and a bankrupt company cannot contract with anyone. So they've been contracting with people, with persons, despite being bankrupt, until the trustees, the fiduciaries, the original indigenous sovereigns said, okay, no, we're going to do a bankruptcy proceedings. That had to be done, so we did it. All of us, we did that. And then we had to proclaim that we are liquidating the assets. And again, debtors can't have assets. We're the ones who have the assets, not them. It says this to all office holders, and this is from the office of the president. And who's the president of American Airlines? All Moors are. However, it is signed by the former custodian who was previously in the office of president, and this is his name and autograph, or signature rather. It says this letter serves as notification and affirmation that Chief Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie and all Moors accept the appointment and titles of President and Fiduciary Officer for American Airlines in accordance with United States law, the Constitution for the United States 1789 and 1791, the Bankruptcy Law of 1933, the Emergency Banking Law of 1933, House Resolution 192 of 1933, U.S. Department of Justice Tax Non-Obligated Public Law AA 222141 for all commerce, Supreme Court rulings and opinions, and all other applicable federal and state laws. And when we say federal and state laws, we're talking federal and state laws in our sovereign state. This fiduciary document also says it is the fiduciary's responsibility to take control of or marshal all assets comprising an estate or trust, especially when a fiduciary assumes office at the grantor's or testator's death. And we're assuming office, but not really. The offices have always belonged to us. When we say assume, we're saying we didn't need anybody's permission to do it. It says the prerequisite for immediate access of certain accounts is the fiduciary providing a court affidavit of authorization and producing a death certificate, which we have done that. And this is actually for access of all accounts. Additionally, any person to whom the office of fiduciary of any state is so transferred shall, for all the purposes of this action, become and are deemed to be the trustee for the state, and the person from whom the office was transferred shall be deemed to have resigned that office. And we can say resigned, or you can even change it and say they've been removed. So they've been deemed to have been Islam. Islam Empress.
I see your cursor, but I don't see that document on the screen. Does anybody else have that problem?
Let's see.
Islam. The screen did not change for me. It stayed on what she was previously.
Okay, just one moment. Just one moment. Let me make a little adjustment here too.
Islam Empress is Tona Spade from Khalifa Territory.
I can't hear you, Nobility. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Hello, can you hear this? Hello.
Can you all hear him?
Yes.
Okay.
Very well.
Okay, Islam. Go ahead, Nobility.
Islam Empress. I thank you again for your inspiration here. I read those documents at a couple of places. I actually went in front of a church here and read the papal document and the crown document out loud on live on Facebook. And, those are great documents.
Islam, can you speak up?
Yes, I'm losing him.
Yeah, he is fading in and out.
But so far, I heard him say that he went and read the documents, he spoke it, so he's casting spells right where he was at.
Islam. Okay, I'm not sure where he went, but we'll continue, and hopefully he will come back and speak so we can hear what happened with his...
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Once again, this is Tona Spade in Khalifa Territory. Yeah, I read those documents out loud in front of a church here. And a Jesuit approached me shortly thereafter. And I tried to start some stuff, but I handed them the death certificate because I made a bunch of copies of them, and I started passing them out to people.
Islam.
It was, let's put it this way, nobody threw it away. And a lot of people were like, a couple of people walked away looking very worried. Islam.
Listen, we have absolutely hit the nail on the head with the documentation. Absolutely hit the nail on the head. I mean, I could tell you experiences that we've had even today where I already know that we did it. Everything is done. It's done. It's a wrap. They're just saying, okay, do they know it? Do they know that that everything is done? Do they know that? Yes, we know. So we just have to just keep moving. And they know also that the power of life and death is in our tongue. They know that. And so we have to know it too, and we do. We know it. And we're going to use it wisely. That's the part now where, we are peaceful. We're 100% peaceful. We always have been. We're lawful. And we don't have ill will towards anyone. We love all of our creation, all. And so by the same token, we're fearless. We know what we have to do. We're not afraid. And we're also very intelligent with our movement. We don't have to suffer. We can actually move intelligently together and not have to worry. And that's where we are right now, Islam. So I know that what we're doing, first of all, they can't. Let me tell you, I'll just give you one example of a recent demonstration. This demonstration was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I went to a property to look around, and some policy enforcers showed up, and I knew they would. I was ready. I had documentation, all of that. And I handed them the documentation. And when I handed them the documentation, Justice Tonis, every one of them actually took it and they started saving it and clipping it to their clipboards. Some of them folded it and put it in their pocket, but not one of them failed to look at it and read. And all it was a regular old statement, a regular affidavit that we do. A one-page affidavit, court action, stating jurisdiction. And we weren't concerned, we weren't worried, and we went on ahead and demonstrated, saw what we need to see, and went on about our business, But they know that no more throwing the paperwork in the trash and all of that. And they never did that in the first place. That's what I'm saying. There were some saying, oh, they threw y'all's liens in the trash. I heard they threw them in the trash. Stop lying. They didn't throw them in the trash because they're actually accountable for them. They know that. Everyone knows that. That when the heirs speak, it's like that's where E.F. Hutton got that thing from. When they used to say when E.F. Hutton was a Moor, first and foremost. And when the Moors speak, everyone listens. So let's move forward with this document here, because I want to be sure that we get through this part, because we're going to be speaking even more so. And the speaking now is actually coming to, okay, it's time to peacefully, boldly, lawfully, and legally proceed into commerce. This is where we're continuing to lean on into that with our own money, and without fiat being a thing and everything being what it should be. We are wealthy, we're prosperous, we're going to keep moving, and everyone's going to be well taken care of, everyone's going to be safe, and we're not at war, we're at peace. We're going to stay at peace because, you know, just like Justice Tona said, the looks on their faces, and they don't need to be scared because we're not here to harm anyone. But if they're unlawful, they probably need to be scared, you know, because they got to get in line. And I know in my knower that they already are in alignment. I'll give you another something that I did today and yesterday. I went down to and I was actually taking my consort down because he anyway, I won't tell his stuff, but we went to King County Superior Court House today and yesterday, and he wanted some information. I'll tell it. He wanted some information on renewing a pistol license. Now, he's not all the way awake, and he spent 30 years in the military, so he's somewhat, you know, there's some programming that he's still working through with regard to nationality. But I will say this, that in going down there, because I went with him because I know my way around there. That's my courthouse. That's our courthouse. We know our way around there. And so we went in, and everyone knows who we are already. They already know. And even the ones behind the counters know who we are. There was not a single one who did not know. And the ancestors wanted to show us some things about our sheriff duties and our marshal duties, and you know, how to move forward with the, you know, the things that we need to do with regard to that peacefully. But when we demonstrate we're fearless, we're not afraid. They all know who we are, period. And let's just keep moving that way. To me, that's the best way to move, is you let our documents do the talking. Don't be afraid, and just keep moving peacefully. And I will say this too. Every place throughout that whole place was nothing but Moors. There were very few, you know, modern Europeans. There were a few, and again, we're not mad at anybody or anything like that, but I just noticed that there were way more Moors there than before in all of the positions, and I thought that was a good thing, you know, including the ones that were standing there with sheriff written on their clothing. And so I thought that was interesting because it wasn't like that before. With that being said, let's go ahead and finish the reading of this document so that we can get through this process, because we need to continue moving forward commercially, lawfully, and peacefully. The bearer of this letter is entitled to 100% immediate reimbursement or discharge of all commercial obligations and transactions. And, you know, this is an older letter. We've since taken this part out simply because we're automatically, you know, we're not asking for anything from anyone. So we don't necessarily need this entitlement, because down here further it says, a determination has been made by the federal government, which is us, that American Airlines needs additional funds to operate. Therefore, according to the Emergency Banking Law of 1933, Title III, American Airlines does hereby subscribe to the preferred stock in the state bank or trust company, which is us, and shall hereby make loans and discharge obligations secured by such stock as collateral. So no people will be held as surety or as stock and traded as stock. It's going to be the interest and subscription of the companies. The Federal Reserve, which is us, has issued emergency currency, which shall be referred to as Federal Reserve banknotes. And again, our fiduciary money can be called that. You can call it Federal Reserve banknotes. You can call it fiduciary money. Either way, it's still lawful, backed by the commercial capacity of any assets of American Airlines. And again, it's backed by property. This action is effective at all American Airlines ticket counters and offices immediately. Title V. It has been an honor to serve, and that's Robert Isom, former custodian, previously in the office of president. So this is a part of resigning or removing from office those who were previously pretending to hold those offices. So that's step one. Choose a company on which you've placed a lien, and then put the fiduciary document and the removal in place. Okay? And that's done by court action also. So in our processes, further down in our processes, we had actual court actions that we did where we called the corpses into court and said, you're decapitated and you go to Guantanamo Bay. Okay? That was necessary because we had to let them know that we knew that these were not the living. And no living beings showed up for those court actions because that was them acquiescing, saying, we're not going to be a fake corporation anymore. We're the living. So now, step two, craft a fiduciary affidavit stating that you're the fiduciary, trustee, governor, and registered agent. And again, you're registered with your state, which is us, the Empire State. And then also the state, for example, I'm at Washington. I'm not at the state of Washington, I'm at Washington. That's the state also. So there's the state, and then there's the states united. So craft a fiduciary affidavit stating that you're the fiduciary, trustee, governor, and registered agent who receives correspondence for the company. State your address and any other information, any other contact information. And when you're doing things in blue, our state, our sovereign living state, does have addresses. That the fake dead addresses was a fake dead Cetus Trust. So we don't have addresses in that fake dead system because we're not even in that system. We're in the living system. And then number three, place your company charter and articles for organization created by you, including the nationality for your company, on the public record. All lowercase red for your personal national records, and blue in capitis diminutio minima for the Secretary for State's records. Black ink documents in capitis diminutio maxima can also be recorded after red documents are shown and blue documents are recorded by the Secretary for State. And again, the Secretary for State is the Moors. If you're a Moor in a territory where you're saying you know there are no other Moors, then go ahead and stamp and seal and approve your own documents, because we're all the Secretary for State. And then you notify the former custodians previously in the office of Secretary of State and send a copy of your documents there to notify them. You're not filing them with them, you're just notifying. It says if you need assistance with crafting the charter and articles for organization, the company should already have some of this information on the public record previously, so your research will assist you. Now, this is for Moors, again, who are going to be doing commerce, and you have a company that you're going to be, like most of us have put removal letters on the public record for different companies. And even if we put a removal letter on the public record, if you still want to be the fiduciary trustee for that company, please feel free to go ahead and do it. Notify the company headquarters that the company and the resources claimed by the company are nationalized, and that you are the sovereign state CEO for the resources and the company. We're the headquarters. We're the head. Okay, we're the head of all companies. When we notify offices, we're notifying our own offices that, yes, we're here. that the boss is back, the CEO is back. Okay, so the former custodians previously in those offices need to know. The state and land location for your company is required in your documentation. Your state constitution with metes and bounds and your county charter where your business is located will meet this requirement. And we did previous videos on that. We have metes and bounds on the public record. We have state constitutions on the public record as done by the Moors. When you do the state constitution, it becomes a lawful and legal document, okay? But you must actually produce that document. So we don't use anything written by some courts. We produce the documents and generate and originate the documents ourselves. Number 5, your fiduciarily commandeered company should already have an EIN on the public record. Search the Secretary of State website or IRS records or other sources done in Bradstreet, etc., to find the EIN. And then what you're doing is you're not using the dead EIN, because remember, few steps up further, you lien that. When you lien the company and all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof, you've already gotten that EIN liened. So then you want to add that number sequence of the EIN in blue to your company documents. Please remember to leave out any minus signs. You can leave a space or you can put a plus sign. So if the EIN is 1234567-89, then you on your documentation will put 1234567 space 89 or plus 89. And once you have done that and added the EIN to your company documents, company bank accounts can be opened and employees can be hired using the EIN. Now, when we talk about company bank accounts and employees and things like that, that is not something that needs to be done today. We're preparing for that. Our bank is already open. What we're doing now is beginning to manifest onto the land, okay, and to prepare to be in the buildings and things like that. So we have to, our documentation is going to precede us in all that we do, and that's another reason we're putting this process on the public record. There are so many companies with resources that need to be claimed that no new EINs need to be issued at this time. So there's no need to go and say, oh, I need to apply for an EIN. No, you don't. The EINs are on the public record already, okay, for all of the companies. For example, Wells Fargo Bank, we're the original Wells Fargo. We're the original Bank of America, and so on and so forth. They have numerous EINs. Okay, so if that is the business that you want to do, or real estate companies, or they already have EINs. All you need to do is do a reversion of a state on that sequence of numbers. And then number 6, the Secretary for State will record, authorize, and collect the lawful money for your company. And again, the Secretary for State is the Moors. So if you're the Secretary for State as well as the CEO, that you can do that. You're sovereign. So what you need to do is stamp and seal your own documents, and then show that a lawful money transaction has taken place on the public record. Okay, so get either fiduciary money or delarium and put it on the public record showing that this amount, and then print up a receipt, a Secretary for State receipt, and put that into the documentation. And again, if you think that you're the only Moor, at your territory, then you are the Secretary for State. And the reason we put it that way, again, is because all brown-skinned, whose mother and whose mother's mother and whose mother's mother's mother were here on this land have always been here. Okay? So they may not know they're Moors, but if you have even one other Moorish American, at your territory, whether they're awake or asleep, then you're not the only Moor there. The office for the Secretary of State shall be sent copies of all your documentation. The reason we put it that way, because those are custodians that were previously in the office of Secretary of State. Number 7, if you have not done so already, research previously published company manuals and websites, or create the rules for operating that are included in each and every contract agreement to include employee manuals, basic rules for conducting business with others, etc. So you want to also have some company rules or some employment rules, employee rules, rules for hiring employees, rules for the way the employees are to conduct their business. Publish your company rules with the intention of updating them regularly throughout the term of operation for your company. And then lastly, number 8, notify the former custodians at IRS that the company and the resources are hereby claimed, at which time you can begin conducting lawful commerce and contracting lawfully on the land with other lawful companies, contractors, and potential employees who are or will be nationalized, which is preferred, or naturalized using sovereign fiduciary money. Banks and the government, and that's us, both of those are us, will have financial programs to assist all businesses. So it is preferable as we go through these processes that you work with or hire nationalized Moors or potential or Moors who may be asleep, but still they need to be hired. Okay, and so this process will be improved and updated over time, as will all of our governmental processes. A constantly improving government is the hallmark for good governance. So it is preferred that you first choose nationalized Moors, because they will overstand the paperwork and the documentation that you give them. And then as you grow, sleeping Moors as well. And then further, as you grow, naturalized citizens. And the citizens already know that this is exactly what we're going to be doing, because just like Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, our prophet said he could have gone to any of the other nations, but the Moors needed him the most. Well, we need each other the most. And so we need to make sure that we hire our kin and everyone first. The nationalized preferred first, then the sleeping Moors preferred, and then naturalized citizens preferred thirdly. So it's not that they're not preferred, it's just they're not the first preference. So with that being said, one last thing I want to bring to your attention. A couple of weeks ago, I announced the death of the already dead zombie, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in Black Ink, as created, and they didn't even create it, they just made it, because they're not creators, the dead United States Corporation Company. So I came across something that said, what happens when, I came across a story that reiterated what happens when the Social Security number is flagged as deceased. Okay, let me put this in black. So I'll put the link to this story in the chat so that you can see that as we're demonstrating the things that we are demonstrating, we do look at what happens on the other end of the system. And that way we know what to expect, and we also know when to invoke jurisdiction, when to create new things, or when to let things just go. Okay? We don't leave any empty space in our nation. So if we terminate all corporate contracts, we put living documentation in place to cover whatever it is that was that we terminated. That is important because nature does not care for empty spaces. Nature doesn't leave empty spaces. It's going to be filled with something. So this is a story of a woman who inadvertently, I suppose, her social, in what do they call it in Canada? This was Canada because it was the corporation. A social insurance number is what they call it there, and it is said in this article to be equivalent to the American Social Security number, which couldn't possibly be true. And more, just so that you're aware, our sovereign security numbers is an American number or Al-Moroccan number. It's an ancient number. It's not a corporate number. Okay? There were two systems that were presented at different times on the timeline. Our sovereign security numbers are American numbers or Al-Moroccan numbers. And so her number, her social insurance number, which the acronym is S.I.N, was somehow classified as deceased by quote-unquote Service Canada, which is supposed to be a quote-unquote benefits office. And so it says that she first thought something was wrong during tax season. She says, I tried to log into my student loan account and her Canada Revenue Agency account, and she couldn't. She said she found that quite odd. So in other words, the debt accounts were not letting her go into the debt accounts. And she said she found that odd. A few months later, when the school year ended, she had free time to call the quote-unquote government office to try to clear things up. And that was when they told her that her S.I.N had been flagged and that she would need to visit an agency office in person. That means they wanted a corpse to show up there and say, hey, I'm the corpse. And in person, if she were one of us, she would have immediately invoked sovereign jurisdiction and said, no, I'm the fiduciary for the living natural person. And the living state security number. And so it says that in following up in this, she said that the office reached out to her and she finally heard from someone on Thursday. She said, I'm feeling so relieved to finally see some action being taken by the quote-unquote government after months of feeling overlooked from their silence and indifference towards my situation. She said, while I have yet to officially get my S.I.N back, it feels great knowing that there has been at least some form of development in this frustrating process of getting her life back. So to her, her S.I.N is her life. She wants to own the debt. She wants to own, the dead. She wants to be that dead person. You can't tell folks what to do. So with that being said, Islam, Empress.
I didn't hear it like that because
I can't. Okay, you're breaking up just a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, I didn't hear it like that because I'm hearing it like they're a code. I don't know, the S.I.N being the S.I.N of the corpse, and so she's yet to get the S.I.N back. Yeah. I don't know, and then but she's gotten her life somehow. So I don't know. That's how I heard it.
That's how I heard it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's someone begging to be a corpse, begging to be dead, begging, and she's feeling dead because they took the sin. To me, that's, that's quite interesting, honestly. It's quite interesting. Okay. So Islam, Empress.
I have a question concerning the processes that you just went through, 1 through 7, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that multiple Moors have leaned, the same corporations, how would that go as far as, they will be receiving, the same instruments from a host of Moors who've done this process on these particular corps that we made them ipso juris. So how would we go about making sure, like, a collective instruments is heard collectively, so they don't get like, well, I got this already, so I don't have to listen to this person or this people rather, and so on and so forth. How does that get not necessarily streamlined, but streamlined?
When it happens, if it happens, we will discuss it at that time. And the reason I say that is because as these processes unfold, it's kind of like what's happening right now. We're getting a good example of that right now. Everyone knows that they're the government, but is everyone governing? No. Are people arguing over government? No, I'm not. Because either we're going to govern or we're not. And we are. So I guess I'm saying some are going to govern and some are choosing not to, even though they have this beautiful, vast, wide option. And to me, it's not an option. It's the law. So it'll be the same thing with, let's say, Wells Fargo. We are the original Wells Fargo, and I removed the previous custodian from the office, but as I stated during the presentment, anyone who wants to govern Wells Fargo, please feel free. We're going to govern it from our perspective, and then the Moors can govern it from their perspective, and we'll come together when it's time to come together. And I'm okay with turning things loose because it's so much. And they can govern the branch in their territory, and I can govern the branch here. How many branches of Wells Fargo are there? Many.
That sounds reasonable. Because is it still an option to allow them to still, do the day-to-day? Because to be, in the mix of all this business, day-to-day operations, that would be a lot. I don't know about anybody else, but I still have a lot more understanding, studying, and governing of other things also. Actually, the real government. Not to say that these, inquired businesses aren't government. It's those things are like an additional thing, I guess you would say. Yeah. I'm speaking for myself, and so yeah, I know I have governmental business to do as far as that part, and then also my own spiritual things I have to sit here to do also. So.
Yeah. So in alignment with what you're saying, Empress, this is one thing I do know is that we needed to just state on the public record that we know we're the CEOs and that we know that we're governing, and then give them some directive. But that won't be taking up our everyday, schedules and things if we choose for it not to. Because in reality, most of the CEOs spent their time on the golf course. Why? Because all they have to do is once a week show up and give some rules and instructions. Think about the companies that you worked for previously in your sleep. And this is for all Moors. How often did you see the CEO if it was a company that had more than 100 people there? How often did you see the CEO really? Not very. Unless you were in, unless you work really close to his or her, office. And even then, because I worked close to the offices there at one point, and if you went in there without an appointment, you know what they would do? And I watched them do this often. If someone went into a CEO's office, and I learned to do it myself too, when I was in that corporate setting. If someone comes into your office, before they get through the threshold, if you see them at the threshold, you get up out of your desk and you walk around your desk and stand. That will tell that makes them feel like, okay. It's almost like you're telling them, don't come in because you can't sit down. Don't sit down. Don't sit down. And that's one of those things that they taught us in management school. Is get up out of your seat and go around and meet them at the door. And then so we as CE, and I'm telling you all this because you're CEOs. So now you know how to get people out of your office. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. That's serious. So, we need to know these things. We're going to do a CEO school erudition. They called it charm school back when we were doing things like that. And the things that they teach them, and there was only so much they were going to say even when we were in the room. Because some of that stuff they said after work. They would meet at each other's houses and talk about, okay, but when the Moors come in, this is what you do, this is this. That's the stuff they didn't tell us that were doing management duties. So, but, all of that stuff, I'm grateful that it could be put on a public record so we can think back and just know that they always knew who we were. They always knew who we were. And they would always have a parallel subculture running in the companies. A parallel subculture. We had what we thought were the same jobs as they did, but they would meet after work and not tell us, Moors, that, okay, this group of managers is meeting after work so they can discuss their Masonic duties and their subject duties, being subject to the Moors. They would say, what does this Moor need to know? What does that one need to know? Where do they need to improve? Okay, let's put a little pressure on them to improve in this area or that area, and still try and treat them like they don't really matter. It was a lot. It was a lot that I learned in those settings, and I just know that it's going to be a piece of cake for us because we have it naturally, and that's another reason why they had to meet offline, because if we got a little whiff of something, we would catch it so quick and be gone with it, and then they'd be like, how did she even know that? How did he even know? How did he even figure that out? We heard that often. So with that being said, let me just check the chat in a minute. Yes, Islam, the harvest is plentiful. Now, for those who are not interested in having your own business and things like that, again, we're going to be putting it out all the way around, just a well-rounded nation. We have to speak to all areas of our nation. There are some who are just going to want to live off their trust and not do what we're doing. That is not going to be the best position to take because our ancestors want us fully engaged in the estate. That was the purpose of waking us up, so that we could take our places among the affairs of men. And we've heard our teachers and our grand sheiks say that before. And so that was what all of the training in our sleep was about was so that we could take control of. And you can't take control of an estate if chilling on an island somewhere, all year. So we are 100% ready and prepared. We're not leaving anything out. We're going to get everything is done. Everything's done, and we're going to continue to do it. There was someone who said in one of the calls, and I had to chuckle, one of the empresses said, well, we know how to do it. When are they going to get out of here? And I thought about that question even this week, and I said, well, and this because I know she was voicing what many Moors are feeling like. Okay, we got this now. We can govern. We can send some affidavits. We know how to do this and this and this and this and this. When are they leaving? Well, can you govern? Let's say if the NASA Moors wanted to send a rocket into space, can you govern that? Do you know how to govern that piece right there? Well, when I when I remember how to govern that process, then I will feel like, okay, we're ready. We're ready, and we know that there's Moors who already know how to do that, because we know that that they had a quota of Moors that they were supposed to hire, and they did that quota. They met that quota among the engineers and among the administrative people at NASA. And so, yeah. Are there any other questions or comments regarding any of the things that we have spoken about? Islam, Empress.
And Shamika. I have a couple of questions.
Yes, Islam.
The process. You said a little earlier, you said you used to do the court action to remove the corporate covering.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that is no longer required, or
it is still required?
It is still required. So anyone that we lien, we do the same.
Yes. Now, it is when we added court actions to each and every one of our documents, it lessened the need to do that. Okay. It lessened the need. However, we don't want to not use that process at all, because there's many, many more. See, we're building a bridge. There's many more who need to do that part as a matter of getting rid of the energy that says that someone else is the court.
Okay.
That's actually what helped me to know that I'm the court.
Okay.
That we're the court.
Okay. Then I will do that. I will do this.
We encourage all Moors to do court actions. Do a video where you call a few corpses into court, or as many corpses as you can. Call them into court and terminate their commerce by way of the lien, because that process is the very beginning of a series of court actions that you build on from there.
From there. And
yes.
It's required to send them notification calling them in, the command to appear.
Yes, yes.
And that can be done via email as well as
yes
via the mail.
Mm-hmm.
The other question was doing the red, and I understand you had, the difference between the red and the blue for everything is still on legal size paper.
Yes.
Okay. Just those fiduciary resignations or removals were on 8.5 by 11.
They were on 8.5 by 11 because of the logos at the top. That's something that we're saying, okay, this is a corporate document. Okay, and we as the fiduciaries are taking command and control of all corporate resources. Okay. The resources are corporate, but they're natural person corporate, not dead corpse corporate.
Right. Okay. Okay, I think I have clarification.
Islam.
And I'm just going to add something, and this is my own story. All of a sudden, it makes me think of you and your story, even though there's a bit more on your prison of war. Over the last week, the policy enforcers have been coming to my gate and blowing the horn and calling ma'am and miss this, and I have no idea, absolutely no idea why. When my consort was murdered in my arms and everything, I mean, they were nowhere to be seen. I have absolutely no idea why they are doing this. My flag is out there. It's...
I can help with that. I know why. Yes, I do.
Help me.
And probably most of the Moors, and I see some of the Moors grinning, they know why too.
There's something I must do, obviously.
Oh yes, a court action. Yes, you must call them into court and do a court action. Yes, Empress, yes.
There's no, yes. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, but I'm in the mix there. It's like, why are you here?
I was thinking the same thing when they came 3 weeks in a row. The ancestor said, just keep going back because she'll get it in me. She'll wake up and do a court action on you. Just keep going. And every morning, like clockwork, and even on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, they were coming, knocking on the door.
I mean, when I thought about your story, I know that there was an attachment. I mean, but there is none.
Right. They didn't have one with me either. The ancestors were saying, okay, you've terminated all corporate contracts, so they can't kick the door in.
Yes, right.
So they have to come and just try and get a contract, or just keep coming until you get up and do the next step.
I either fold or I, do a court action, and
we already know what you're gonna do. So we just tell us when so we can attend.
I do have to give them notice, though, don't I?
Yeah.
There's no limit on the notice. I mean, there's none. So I will watch for my call.
Yes,
right,
Islam. And
Islam,
let us know on the call so that it can be out on the call on the public record here too, that your court action is at this time and this, et cetera, et cetera.
Once I've scheduled it, once I've done it, I will absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Basically.
And once you get it to them, you can say you got 24 hours to be at this court, or 3 days to be at this court, or 30 days to be at this court.
No, we haven't got that much time. I mean, can court happen at the weekend?
It can. It can happen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Empress.
All right, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, Islam.
Islam.
I'm excited about that because I already know that the more and the more of us that go on the public record on YouTube, wherever, because YouTube is the public record. It was initially a corporation, just like the United States Corporation Company, until we leaned them.
Right.
But the more of us that go on the public record and do that, then Isaiah, the whole book of Isaiah in the Bibliotheliotech, which is a legal code book, that whole book will be manifested. Isaiah talks about the judges being restored so that the city flourishes and thrives and is abundant, but the judges must be restored back to the land.
Wow. I have goosebumps. So
I do too. I do. The judges must be restored.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much. Thank you.
Islam. And Empress, no, they don't have jurisdiction, and they know that the only time they that they see, even in the Bibliotheliotech, there's a story in there, and this is the part that, blew it really kind of woke me up when I read and saw this. There's a story in the Bibliotheliotech that says, if I knock on the door and you open the door, then I will come in and I will sup with you, and then you will sup with me. Well, do you know what just happened there? You just became a guest in your own house for opening the door.
Exactly, and that's I'm not. My gate is locked. I'm sitting in my house. I see them. I don't hear you. You are not calling me.
They're not. They need somebody to answer so they can say, "There's our corpse. Let's get him."
I heard them say. I heard one of the women say, and they all come with black masks on. And there were 3 vehicles today. 2 black vehicles. I don't know if another one was there, and then the marked vehicle. And I heard her say, "Me don't know where she had it. She had a flag there." You know that.
Oh wow.
You know, there's.
Wow.
And that's been 3 times now, and it's like, okay, well, 3 times is a charm, 3rd time is a charm. So
yes, Empress. They need to be. There needs to be a court action done, because anyone. See, if they could have kicked everything in, if they had something, Empress, then they could have just came on in.
But that's what's so apparent. You can't. You don't. The first time they were just saying, "Ma'am, ma'am, hello, hello," and now they're coming with Miss Martini, but they cannot. They blow the horn first. That's all they do. But they don't say any. They haven't come with anything, because if you really had something and had true jurisdiction, you wouldn't be out there. You'd have been in my yard. I'd have been trussed up and everything else.
Yes, Empress. They don't have, when they don't have anything, they just keep, because they don't have anything better to do.
And that's the truth of it. And I do know. I mean, and this is just this is a gut thing. And this, yes.
Yeah.
There is a particular creature, the one that calls itself king, who actually controls them. Remember how I told you about the foreigner who...
Yes.
And that is what this is all about. So
now, let me say this too. They already know that for some of the Moors who are a little more fearful, that is a nightmare for them to keep coming like that. Even if it's a nightmare for some Moors who are fearful, because they've been traumatized.
And them coming with their guns and their badges and their whole thing, and
but
then
you know
on
what?
top of that,
they got to have paper before they can do anything with any of that. They got to have paper that's unrebutted.
And that's
and that's the key.
And that's it. They it's something else. I mean, it's the experience. It's amazing.
Yes, Empress. Yes.
It's amazing.
It is.
But I'm standing, and I shall continue to stand, and I will move to this quickly.
Yes. Empress, the territory there, it needs a head.
That's it.
A head that will even govern, even if you happen to be afraid, you'll still govern.
And that's even with, I mean, there's so much to learn, but even
no worries.
Just knowing I must, I am, I shall, and
yes,
there has been too much, and this isn't. I mean, I'm really in a very calm place, even with all of this.
Yes.
I'm really connecting with my own self and my rises and falls and everything else.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what they do. I shall.
You know what? And they know that.
Yes.
That energy right there, Empress, are you talking about the ancestors coming through and kick? See, the ancestors kick the doors in then.
See that?
They do.
Yeah.
The ancestors, I've seen them do it. I've seen them lock doors and no man could open them. I've seen them open doors and no man could close them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's with gangs of them who could not move because the ancestors said no.
Sit down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All we had to do, and Empress, we don't have to know everything right thing. We don't have to remember everything right. We just have to stand on what we do know.
And that's where I'm standing there. You know, I'm standing there.
I did that. I did that. I could only do, and here's the thing, I had not seen any Moors doing court actions. I had to stand on what I knew because I know the law. That's the thing. And you all know the law too. Yeah. And this is something that I heard earlier today that I thought was brilliant. They used it in a different context. But knowing the law means that we will do things because we know the law, and it will manifest in our feelings versus the other way around. Us trying to make our feelings fit what we think is the law.
Right.
Because that's where we kind of we look for connecting points, and we want to connect the dots with how we feel about a situation instead of going first to the law and say, well, the policy enforcers keep coming, but what does the law say I need to do?
And yes. Yep. I mean, even in the personal experience that is my personal experience that brought me here, I have actually, even in that, been going through that and putting some of it aside, not forever, of course, but in order to move through and try to
get
into balance with the law. You get what I'm saying? So that
I do.
It is personal, but it's not personal. The remedy is not personal.
It's not.
That experience is what propels me to move within the law. And I've had to, that's why I've had to, tuck the feelings. Not dismiss them, but work through them, write them, take out from it what I need to take in order to help me to have the courage to continue to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
Within the law. I mean,
well, you are the law, so you get to make the law about what needs to be done. You get to make the law. So, there have been times where I would say, you know what, I'm scared. I'm really scared. But ancestors, I know what the law says, so I'm just going to do this right here. This is what I'm going to do about that. And sometimes that was all I had. And you already know what happened. Yeah. The ancestors came through like gangbusters. and just they kicked everything out of the way. And they said, okay, now relax and read.
And that's where I am. It's almost as if, and the ancestors know, because I had a meditation and they said to me, I did a meditation and I met 3 grandmothers, two I haven't met. One I had met very briefly. One gave me a needle, a sewing needle.
Yeah.
One gave me a saber, a cutlass, a short, what do you call it, a scythe,
Yeah.
And one gave me tobacco.
That's good.
They said, you already have the pen.
Yes.
And they said, the last one I did, they said, you have everything you need.
That's the same thing they said to me while I was in the POW camp. They said, and I told that in past on past calls. They said, tell them when they come, when you do your court action, just let them know they don't have anything that you need because everything already belongs to you. Tell them that. Because, see, sometimes they would come through and say, well, do you want some this or that, some tissue, a fresh cut, because they want you taking things from them so they can
and then
usurp.
Now you're in their jurisdiction.
Yes.
Hmm?
So I repeated it over and over. You don't have anything that I need. I have everything, and you're offering me something that belongs to me already. Anyway. So I'm surprised it's even in your hands.
Yeah.
And this is in a cell.
You know. I mean, that's
sure did.
Power and the ancestors and everything. We have everything we need.
We have everything we need. We have everything we need. We have everything we need. And then whenever I would get afraid, the ancestors would say in the calmest voice, and this has been even since then, they would say, Light, what are you afraid of? And sometimes I didn't even have an answer because it wasn't nothing to be afraid of. Sometimes I didn't even have an answer. And other times, if I had an answer, I would speak it out loud because sometimes I'm in my conveyance and I'm speaking it out loud, and I'll say, it's this. And then they start speaking and speaking and speaking. And next thing you know, that thing is out of the way.
Yeah, I goosebumps again. I have my own personal experiences of those types of things. Speaking it removes it from, yes.
Our words are so powerful, Empress. They're so powerful. Yeah. They're so powerful.
Wow, thank you.
Very, very powerful.
They are.
Even speaking our whatever it is that we feel like we might be afraid of. And after a while, the more I demonstrate, I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm saying the more I demonstrate, the less fear I have. And everyone knows that will happen to anyone who continues to just go past the fear and do what needs to be done. After a while, you're like, you're not afraid anymore.
That's very true. That's very true with so many things, yes.
Yeah. I experienced that today and yesterday also.
Okay.
I thought to myself, I'm not afraid of anything. That feels great. That's what I was thinking today. And I was trying not to get too excited about it because my consort, he doesn't want me to go on and on and on about how awesome this is. So I try not to.
To temper it, yeah.
Yeah, I have to pull back and be, and just keep it to myself until I have, pick up the phone.
And right. One of the things my consort did say before, he said to me, because when I learned about this, I went full, I just dove into it. And sometimes he would cook while I was, he loved to cook, but he would cook specifically because I'm studying and
yes.
And then it got to a space where it was a little too, and he would say, this is just, it's too much. And then another time, one day he said to me, and it wasn't long before he was murdered, he said to me, I said to somebody, you're de facto. And I turned to him and I said, really? And he said, I do understand it, he says, but sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much. And so that, that made me happy because even as it seems like it's, but he did get it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I yield. Thank you so much for the time and Natondo
Islam. Matumbo Mamiki as well. Islam. Yeah. That's, it's just rolling off my tongue now, Empress. I got it. Yes, Islam.
I yield.
Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom?
Islam,
Empress.
I wanted to ask a question. The last meeting, Sunday, about the September 30th. There's a lot of chatter about, what's going to take place and to have your money out of the bank account. I have auto pay for mortgage. Should I take everything out, or would it be safe for me to leave the auto pay for the mortgage for October's month left in there?
So this is my suggestion whenever I am asked questions of that nature. I say, always demonstrate at the level of your overstandings. What do you overstand about mortgages? I don't know. What do you overstand about September 30th? I don't know. So I'm going to say, go with your study. What does your study tell you about that? And then demonstrate what your study has told you. Now, you know what we say about all of that because there are hundreds of videos on YouTube about that. But we don't, we are very, we can hear from the ancestors, all of us. We all have the gift of ancestral knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to what your ancestral energies say to you about that. What are they saying? Have they said anything to you about that? What I will say about that is this too, about anything, is don't do anything in fear.
Okay.
If you feel, if you're afraid, that's, get some peace first and then demonstrate whatever you're going to demonstrate. Mm-hmm. Now, I've demonstrated afraid before. I've demonstrated afraid before. That's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. That's for those who feel like they don't have, it's like, I'm going to demonstrate now. So, to me, I don't have any other option. I'm going to demonstrate. Mm-hmm. But some want to take a little more time and, get a better understanding. We say, do what is comfortable for you. You're sovereign. And with sincerity, the ancestors will show you exactly what you need to know about that.
Okay.
And no one is to judge you for what you do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm studying. I started down at the very bottom of your YouTube page, and where you guys started at, and working my way up so that I can get more over and understanding.
Islam, Empress, you know what? That's what the ancestors want for us to do, is just take the time to study. And when you take the time to study, they're going to bless your demonstrations. No matter where you are on the timeline of demonstrations, they're going to bless you. You're going to be fine.
Yes.
We know, as long as you know that we have to come out of that system, as long as we know we have to come out of that, how we come out of it, the ancestors will let each one of us do what needs to be done as we listen. And all we're doing is providing some processes that we have used that, or that the ancestors are saying, okay, put this forth, put this on the public record, let's put this forth, etc. Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, and I feel that a lot of my family and friends, like everyone else, is, they think that we're crazy because they said there's nothing. Well, everything you're saying, we don't see it on mainstream media. And then I said, you know what? I am tired of talking. I'm tired of showing my family and friends. So I need to just study and do it. Let them see it through me.
Yes. Yes. Because you can't force anyone to wake up. They all set their own clock before they got here and said, I'm not waking up before that day right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just say, Islam, wake up when you're ready. And we're awake, so we're going to keep providing, we're going to keep demonstrating and opening up and trailblazing and kicking, letting the ancestors kick the doors in while we peacefully demonstrate our sovereign status, and that's what we do.
Right.
Yeah. Even like with my consort, I don't pressure him or anything. He's declared his nationality, but he doesn't, do what we do, And that's okay, he doesn't have to. He can be himself. Even his family appellation is Moore, and he's from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
So he's, all the way through. But he wants to take his time. He shows, he sometimes he'll see some things and be like, is this what this is? And I'm like, yep, that's what that is. And then, so when they're ready, they will do it.
Yeah.
When they're ready. And one thing I do know too, Empress, is that system is doing what it does.
Mm-hmm.
That system is doing what it does. So when they're ready, they'll wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Empress.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here too, by the way.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I feel at home.
Islam. Good. Good. Are there any other questions, comments?
Yes, I have a comment.
Islam.
I've been talking with a couple of Moors the last couple of days, over the last 2 weeks, and what I found is that they've been telling me that their liens haven't been working, and then we did the dissecting and rollback. They haven't been sending the liens forward to Washington. So if you don't send your lien to Washington, it ain't going to get processed and recorded. Because every business that's on this planet has to go and put their business on the record in Washington. So if we want to lien them, we have to send the paperwork to Washington so they can take care of that for us.
That's where,
and we got to put it on public record.
Where quote unquote registration was done.
Yep. So that's 3 more that I've helped. So that's good. I get brownie points for that from the Most High Big Mama. Now the other thing I want to tell y'all is that I was talking to my little sister, Chitali, and I told her it's been now 3 months now. I have not paid 1 red cent on my phone. So my phone is still working on their network, and I ain't paying no bill.
Islam.
So my brother was joking me, but I said, forget about you.
Yeah.
Because I'm down here in the land of flowers in Florida, so I have to go back up north to be with Angel and the rest of the Moors in Swampomac and Mohawkachop. And I gotta go back up there. But the weather's so nice down here, I don't want to go.
Take the weather with you. Take it with you when you go back.
But I leaned the phone number, and once I leaned the phone, because that's a contract.
Yeah.
Not just the phone company. Originally it was with T-Mobile. Then they connected with Verizon, but we also leaned them too, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they sent me a Verizon SIM card, but they said you got to change your phone number. I said no, I'm not changing no phone number, because that phone number is on the Moors. It's under the Empire State of Morocco. It's not under U.S. So she's still going. I'm listening. I got you on the phone, and I got you on my computer. So it's working.
Beautiful.
So as you always, the liens do work, but we got to follow the process.
Yes. We're the ones who put the processes in place.
That's right. All right, I lead the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, Islam. We're the ones who put the processes in place. See, some people, they just want to declare their nationality, and they think that it's just wave a magic wand because you declared your nationality and everything is just already open to you. And that's not how our ancestors set it up, or else anyone could be claiming to be an heir and just accessing the estate when that's not really who they are. Nobility is proven. It is not assumed. It's proven. And some don't like that, but we got to quit. We can't be spoiled heirs. We actually have to do the work because everyone knows we can. Our ancestors knew we could.
Islam,
Empress.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure, absolutely, always.
Okay. I would like for us to vote for Brother Dawood to come to a call and give us some erudition on his cell phone demonstration.
Okay.
Justice Dawood, are you willing to do erudition and show step by step what you did with regard to your cell phone?
Unfortunately, I can't do that because all that stuff is still in the Swampomec. I'm down here in Florida.
When will you go back to Swampomec?
At the end of the month.
Okay. Can it happen at the end of the month?
Of course.
Okay. Well, at the end of the month. Oh, that's about the time that they said that the sky is gonna fall for the corpses.
Let it fall in.
So for the corpses, not for us. For us, everything is blooming, everything is growing. The abundance is just everywhere. The other side of the coin. It is indeed. It is indeed. It is indeed. Islam, Empress.
We speak of the corporation being dead and gone. Should we somehow, or have I missed it, formally pronounce them dead in law?
Yes. We've already done that. We did that probably about a month and a half ago. On the public record, we pronounced them dead, and we created a document and put it under that video.
Excellent, thank you. I missed that one. I didn't miss any video, but I missed it mentally. Thank you. I'll go find that.
Well, Empress, you might have been thinking about a demonstration that you were going to do, and sometimes and we didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. We just did. We just mentioned it briefly, showed the document, and then moved on, and said this document will be under the video. So we overstand indeed and understand Islam. Any other, something I want to say, too, I want to point out that the ancestors are showing me, and I'm not going to go too far into it. But so we've been seeing, for example, commercial malls, a mall, like you go to the mall or you go to the grocery store. These are commercial venues. The ancestors are showing me venues that are not commercial, but that do the same thing. They're already set up, already operating. We just didn't know they were there. And these venues the quality is about a zillion times better than a grocery store. That's just something that they've been showing me lately. And I'm talking on many different aspects. Some of it I'm not even going to talk about right now because it's just everything is already set up for us. All we have to do is keep demonstrating because we're already there. We're already there. It's kind of like we've been demonstrating and we didn't know that this demonstration has these stamps and seals on it, and those stamps and seals give us access to all of that over there. But we didn't know that at the time. So we just need to keep doing what we're doing so we can see. Let me tell you, there is nothing we can't have, nothing we can't do, and there is no place that we cannot go. And it's all prepaid, all of it. We can literally print the money to use the resources. And I mean, the quality is just amazing. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. And that couldn't be the only reason why we demonstrated our status. And that's why I kind of hold some of that a little closer to my chest, my vest, just because, we don't want to seem like we're baiting people with what our ancestors have for us. But if anyone who knew even a little bit of what they have for us, we wouldn't have to tell anybody about nationality. We wouldn't. There is a life, I want to say a lifestyle. Maybe that's, I'll use it with my intentions in mind. There's a lifestyle that you can, the closest we've seen to it is someone that is claimed to be super wealthy on television that is barely being used because they're waiting for us to get there. We're already there. We just have to keep demonstrating boldly. I saw a glimpse of it yesterday. And it wasn't even a glimpse. It was actually, I was in a place yesterday that I could not believe what I was seeing, and I couldn't believe that I didn't know it was in this territory. But it's not a commercial venue. See, we've been guided to commercial venues. It's kind of like with the post office. They guided us to all, and I can't say guided. Let me rephrase that. In our sleep, we were told, go to the counter and use this, when in reality, we could have been putting things in, depositing things into the box without, using our government status and never having to deal with a subject at the counter. Well, it's that way with everything, including banking, travel, and everything. And that's why we have to do what we're doing, because we could literally go and put our own things into the banking system. How much is it? It's this much. Okay. If you want to put 10 million into the banking account today, make sure that you have the 10 million in fiduciary money or delarium. Put it in the till, because it's an honors system. It's an honors system. See, the commercial system was a system that was made for those who had no honor. And I don't want to put it that way, but that's really what it's for. That's why they have policy enforcers sitting at the door of the grocery store. The venues that we have seen were for those who had no honor. And we've always had honor. Let's make that clear. We had to actually go to sleep and pretend like we didn't. But for the honorable ones, I'm talking the best of everything. I've seen it. I saw it yesterday, and I'm like, and there was hardly anybody there. And it was you could eat off the floor. It was so clean. If you wanted to test that theory, I wasn't going to eat off the floor. We wouldn't eat off the floor, but I'm just saying, as an analogy, it was really clean in there. And there weren't even any fake surfaces. If it looked like cherry wood, it was cherry wood. If it looked like mahogany, it was mahogany. If it looked like marble, it was marble. If it looked like gold, it was gold. It really was gold. I was just amazed. And it's actually a service. It's a service that we would use regularly. And even while I was there was only somebody that pulled up, and they kind of almost knew that it was over and they shouldn't have been there, so they left pretty quick. But they showed up in the thing they was in was like probably 300,000 for just one little conveyance, and
But it had Moorish markers everywhere. It had Moorish markers everywhere, including the signage. The signs actually state the sign talked about white settlers. So I had to think about that. It said, in 1847 or something like that, this is where white settlers first came and claimed land. Well, when I think about white settlers, I already know that we're white, and I also know that settlers is a financial term, which is what we're doing. We're settling things financially. We have to settle things financially. And when you have some new land or new territory, or territory that's unsettled, it actually has to be measured, meets and bounds, a value attached to it through land patents, and then it has to be settled financially with anyone who comes to be on the land. We know that. So anyway, I'll end this little rant with this. There's nothing we can't have, nothing we can't do. And everything that you ever felt in your spirit about how you should be living, and the visions that you've seen in your mind where you've never eaten off golden spoons and chalices, golden chalices and things like that. You've never used those things in this life, but it's like you have, because you can see it so clearly in your mind that actually really does exist. And it's just sitting closer than we think, waiting for us. But for me, yes, that's good, and I'm looking forward to that. There are things even beyond that. Natural resources even beyond that automatically belong to us. And the thing is, it is our duty and responsibility to govern those things. So let's just keep going. Let's just keep going, because what I saw yesterday, we all deserve. We all deserve access. And then it can be accessed at our will. We already have the documentation on the public record. We just don't know that there's more to our documentation than we thought. Our documentation, all of us, Moors, our documentation is holy and inspired from the God within us. But when we talked about, for example, we did a document 3-4 years ago about rare earth minerals and rare earth metals. There's more to that than we even know. But when we did the document, we were saying we know that this is who we are. We've not seen it in this lifetime, in this dimension, this go-round. We haven't seen it, but we know that it exists and we know it's ours. And what we're really doing is calling it into manifestation. So, with that being said, Moors, please do court actions on the corpses and corporations. And then for the Moors that are ready to get the commerce going, the process that we put on the public record today, there's a shortened version, a 16-minute video that we put in the chat. Please look at that video so that you will know step by step how to get your commerce going. Okay, and we're doing this, and it's going to continue to unfold over the next few days, weeks, months, etc. Islam?
Yeah, Islam.
Islam nobility.
Yes, I had. You was talking about rare metals. About 6 years ago, I was into metal scrapping, like electronic scrapping. The scrapping, like from electronics. And I was so amazed to find there's a lot of gold and silver. I was amazed. I just happened to be at this CMU in Pittsburgh, and they was doing some work on a building. They was refurbishing a building, and the electrical system. I took out. It was in there. They put it in the trash. The electrical system. So I took out it was like a big. It looked like silver, and it was worth. It weighed about maybe a half a pound. And I took it down to the gold exchange. I was curious because I really didn't know for sure that I had precious metals, you know. And then I took it down to the gold exchange and the diamond exchange, and I put it on the counter. And he was like, "What is this?" And it's like it's like the breaker. It's like a breaker. It's a big metal thing, and it was old because the building was old. But it's come to find out it was platinum. It was platinum, and it's like I started realizing I got like pounds of this stuff, and it's like so. He was like telling me the whole thing was refining. So I was thinking, no, I might just get into refining instead of just giving it to someone where they'll just give me what they, you know, I give them a 10 pounds of metal and I won't get much back. So I was starting to get into refining, and I had built me a little refining shop in my backyard and everything, and I was starting to get into the chemist of it, you know, the separating the metals and all. But then about 6 years ago, I wound up having I had that problem where I got it was a house, and I got you know, it was foreclosed on. And I didn't know what I know today, so I want to get back into that. I was just thinking about that. The metals, I still have a lot of the metals, and that's a good field to get into refining, gold and silver refining, electric. I mean, it's all around us. I mean, this like electrical appliance. Every time I see one, I know where to get the contact, the silver or gold contact from electric appliance. That's a good field. I mean, you got gold and silver laying all around us. You know what I'm saying? And I just realized that it's actually metal. It's actually precious metal. Because I was so surprised when I took it to the refiner. I mean, the gold people, and they was like so amazed, like, where'd you get this stuff? And I was showing them so many different pieces. Yeah, it's like precious metal all around us that we're not aware of, you know. But I yield. I just want to I'll probably get into a business, something like metal refining, like precious metal refining. From electrical appliances. People throw out appliances every day, and there's so much metal there, so much money there.
Yes,
if I just know how, I want to get more into the refining of it. And I was getting into it, but I'm once I get this house, I'm going to get back and build another shop like in the back for refining gold, you know, or electric, you know, refining. Yep. But I yield.
Islam. You know, it's interesting that you say that because before I woke up, I had heard that there was gold and copper in cell phones and computers. So I had a couple of cell phones and computers that I took apart just to see, and I have a whole bag here, a little bag of the parts and the gold pieces and the copper. And you can see all the little pieces were gold, all of them. All the little pieces were gold.
Yeah, like little fine gold. You get lots of it. It can all come together.
Yeah, and then
I got lots of it.
And I have several of these pieces. You know, I wanted to see if it was true, and when I saw it, I was like, okay, so you know, at least we know now where some gold is. You know, we have gold. So
it's all over the place.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But what they have to do now is stop manufacturing a lot of that stuff because it's our turn.
Right.
It's our turn. Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to get back into that. That's a trade. That's an art there. To because it's real interesting when you're using those like the acids and to see it change and to see the metal change colors and all that.
Yes.
I was on to something and then I was on to something. Like,
the ancestors probably wanted you to declare your nationality first and then do that, because if we try, people who try to do things that are inventive like that in that black status, quote unquote, they don't get far. But
right.
So, for example, even this gold here, it would need to actually be melted down, and then I can make a coin out of it or something like that, which at some point I will do, so that the coin has our, because it has to come from us. It can't come from anywhere else. It has to come from us.
Right.
Right. And I don't know how to melt gold down yet, but it just, all it takes is some research.
Yeah, that's all it takes. I was amazed at how far I got with seeing the metal turn into liquid in the different colors. I was about to separate it, and then I had to rush and move and things, and it really upset me because I was.
Let me ask you something. How did you get it to liquefy?
It's certain type of acid you have to put with it.
Sulfuric acid.
Yeah, sulfuric acid, and a couple of and I was supposed to. I was at the level where when it turned green and things, I was supposed to put some type of salt or something to separate it, but I didn't get to that because I was just about to do that, and I had to vacate the property, and I wound up getting rid of that batch, but I got like tons of the stuff, and still got platinum and all that stuff like stored away where I can go back at it.
You said when it turns green, you had to put some type of salt.
Yeah, I was supposed to put some type of salt or something with it to set the heavy stuff would go to the bottom and separate from other metals.
Yeah.
And there's some other things I was about to do, but I didn't get to it.
So this is my understanding of that process. You put pour the sulfuric. First of all, you just grab some ore. And then you pour the sulfuric acid over the ore and you let it sit, and the sulfuric acid, as it sits, it will disintegrate everything else but the gold, and the gold will sink to the bottom. And then you said something about putting salt. That makes complete sense to me, because sea salt, because I actually harvest sea salt, you put the sea salt over it and it's going to add the shine to the gold because it brings out certain qualities when it meets with other chemicals. And and then you all of the other and it's not even waste material, because whatever disintegrates can be used as well for something else. But you just move that aside and you have the gold there, and you just take the gold and scrape it up and do what you can flake the gold, or you can shape the gold if you choose to do it. However you choose.
Yeah, I got a book. Yeah, I got a book I ordered. It's called what's the name of it? It's called gratified junkman or something. But it was a very powerful book on how to refine precious metals, and I found it to be a very important book. This guy was old and he knew a lot about refining all types of metals. And this book, he tells you everything. And I learned it all from him, because he was telling me where to find the stuff in the strap of the silk, the electronics and all that. He tells you where to find it and all, where to look for the silver contacts, the gold contacts. where to find this stuff. And I was amazed that everything he taught, I was able to go and find it. And when I scrapped it and went to the gold refiner, they was like, yeah, there was a lot of precious metal here. I was like, wow, I didn't think it was real, you know.
Is it the name of the book? Is it The Junk Man Cometh, or is it Biography of a Junk Man, or is it I'm just looking at.
I have to get that name up. It's the Gratified Junk Man or something, but I don't know the name right offhand. It's been a while since I looked at that book, but I'll give it to you maybe the next time we talk. I'll have the name up with someone who wants to. It gives you everything you need to know about finding all type of metals and everything. You know, strapping even when it comes to copper, everything you need to, metals that things that people throw out. And this guy was good. Yeah, but I still got his book. I have to find it.
Okay, well, when you find it, let us know so we can look it up too.
Yeah, because he passed away. He's an old dude, but his book is still. I think you could still order it. Yeah, but I yield.
Thank you. Islam. Let's see. Islam. Okay, well, we learned some other new stuff today then as well about the precious metals. So we're gonna keep those facts coming as well of precious metals. Just one moment. Let me try one. Okay, that's not it. Okay, I was looking up to see if I could find a little something about that, but no worries. We'll it's gonna come when the ancestors are ready for it to come. With that being said, if there is nothing further, we will adjourn today, and then we will meet back again on Sunday. For the Moors who are getting your businesses started, please look at the 16-minute video that was put up right before this video. It's dated the September the 8th, 2022, 1442, 1443 on the sun calendar, or ancient moon sun calendar rather. Islam Empress. Islam. I just wanted to make a comment about the brother gathering the scrap metals and finding all those precious metals. And why they use it in construction. It's because without it being, without the metal being minted by us, it doesn't have any value. It might as well have been aluminum or anything. It doesn't have that value until the sovereign mint it.
Yep.
And so he's finding all this stuff. And they're going like, yeah, this is platinum. They dry about it because they can't do anything with it.
And they can't tell him the real truth about that.
Right. They did not. They did not. But he knew in his spirit that he found something. But it was for him to find because he's a sovereign and he can do something with it. He can give it value. So that's excellent to hear that story. I just want to let that brother be aware of that. Islam.
Islam. Beautiful.
Islam, sis. I appreciate that. I just came across the book, one of the books, or part of it. It's exactly how you can make a fortune just snooping around. And this guy is Jim Straw. His name is Jim Straw.
Jim Straw?
Yeah, Jim Straw. Yep. And
what's the title of
this? The Super Snooper Report. Exactly how you can make a fortune just snooping around. By Jim Straw. Yeah. Jim
And
Straw.
then there's something else. Let's see.
Yeah. But this book came with a few others. I don't see the other ones right now. So
Yeah.
it came with a few other books, but this is one of them. And that's the one who made them all. His name is Jim Straw. I ordered it off of.
I see it right here. Okay.
Oh, you see it? Okay.
Yeah, it says make a fortune just snooping around something. I will put the link to what I'm looking at in the chat, Moors, in case you want to look it up and see if you can get a better handle on the information. Here's the link in the chat.
Yes, some other books too. Yeah, it's on. I yield.
That's it. Can you see the chat, Nobility?
Oh no, I'm on the phone myself.
Okay. Yep, there it is in the chat. So, Moors, if you want to grab that and just do a little research. Research don't hurt us. We love research. So, with that being said, we'll go ahead and adjourn here, and we will meet back again on Sunday at 6. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Grand rising.
Grand rising Islam.
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 Gratitude.
Islam.
Grand rising.
Islam.
Thank you, Empress.
You're welcome, Islam. It is my honor and my pleasure to give to the Lord. Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Islam.